Hello, Tony here, back on my channel once more on the Wednesday slot. Going off of my time zone and clock, today is May 18th, 2022, and that day coincides with the OTS release of the next Yu-Gi-Oh! Core set, Dimension Force. Thus, as customary for these Wednesday videos, today we're going to be cracking open a box of this set to discuss its contents and see what's in store for us in the next few weeks. Now, the release of Dimension Force puts the set in a very interesting place. From what we can glean from just reading about it online, the set itself has a lot to explore. From support for both pendulums and older decks, to the introduction of two new archetypes, Dimension Force is a set that really brings a lot to the deck building table. But failing to bring anything on the level of cards like Verte or Hawk, Dimension Force also fails to introduce anything to the game capable of shaking up the current meta. As such, going into the release, this set did not have nearly as much hype backing it as older sets like Burst of Destiny or Battle of Chaos. But that all changed just a day ago, when Konami chose to drop on this set's eve a new ban list effective immediately. In a Thanos level snap, the format was thrown into disarray as powerful generic combos were rendered unviable with the banning of both Verte Anaconda and Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. Worse yet, what remained of this meta was very much contendable with things that Dimension Force offers. Thus, in the blink of an eye, Dimension Force has gone from a lackluster set to now the wild card to define the meta. Many of the cards that we crack today will see play in these next few weeks. From new support for the Brave Engine to a brand new addition to the Albaz Saga in the Therion, Dimension Force really is the force to be reckoned with. But that's enough of my hyping. Without a further ado, let's get into this box opening. Popping off this plastic here, as always, I'll be pausing intermittently as I pull certain cards to talk more in depth about them. I think this gives viewers a much more informed mindset of what this set has to offer and what to look out for. With that being said, this set is also interesting because it's one of the first sets so far that its packs aren't mapped, meaning that if we get a foil on one end, there is no guarantee that on the other side we'll have a foil as well. And that leaves some level of variance for us to go into. Anyway, getting into this first pack here. Our first pack has a Battle Guard Cadets, a new Battle Guard support, Parasoma Pillow, the new support for the new archetype in Therion Duke Yule. If we pull any of the higher rare cards, I'll discuss it further. One War Rock Medium, one Motor Frenzy, one Scareclaw Acro for the new Scareclaw archetype, not only itself being a new archetype, but also a new storyline as well. We'll explore that later. We have a Material Actor Nullus as a new Material Actor card. I think this is the third card of this archetype so far. One Honda Zombies for new zombie support, new Heroic Challenger support in Morning Star, and on to our next pack. Alright. Our next pack has another Therion monster in Therion Bull Aim. This one, just to give you a context about the Therions, each of the Therions have the ability to special summon themselves from the hand by targeting a Therion in your graveyard or a monster of a respective type related to its own. And that lets you create some really cool beaters, alongside some other cool effects for the monsters they equip. We have Ichiroku's Ledger Book, a Heroic Challenger Knuckle Sword for another Heroic Challenge support, a Warrock Medium, a Therion Cross, which is a monster negate for the Therion deck, one Pendulum Scale for more Pendulum support, a Scareclaw Astra for another Scareclaw support, and a new branded card in Branded Lost. This card, when activated, I believe allows you to bounce one of your opponent's monsters, or one of your opponent's monsters and one of your fusions, and then both players get to summon a fusion at the end of the turn. And then we have a Agul Mazera for more zombie support. Right, going on to the next pack here. We have another Heroic Challenger card in Heroic Challenger Jarn Grepnir, one Ice Jade Curse. So, fun fact about Ice Jade Curse. This card says that while you control an Ice Jade monster, or I believe a field spell, one of those two, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters special summon that turn. This combos fantastically with Cosmoclore that was released last set that does the opposite, preventing your opponent from activating monster effects except for the monsters that was special summoned that turn. Combined with Curses, basically locks your opponent out of monster effects, but getting there is not easy. From there, we have a retrain of Amphibious Burgoth in Amphibious Burgoth Mark II, new Predaplant support in Predaplant Bipslip, there is a deck profile for that coming up, and our first secret rare in Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Drag. Okay, so this is part of the new Pendulum support released in this set, and seeing as I pulled this card, I think this is a good time for me to pause to talk about this card. Like many of the sets before it, Dimension Force continues a trend of providing support to the deck of a popular character from Yu-Gi-Oh's various animes. In this case, it's support granted for Yu-Gi's Performer Pal Odd Eyes deck, and several powerful new cards designed to support Odd Eyes as a whole. First off is Performer Pal Gentrude and Lady Angie, two cards aimed at getting themselves set up in the scales while also generating minor advantage in the interim. Once set up though, they allow you to grab any Odd Eyes monster directly from your deck, of which your likely target will be the new boss monster in the Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon. Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon is the first and only ritual pendulum monster in the game. Rocking a respectable 2700 attack points, Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon can both be ritual summoned or directly pendulum summoned from your hand. While on the field, Pendulum Graph Dragon burns your opponent every time they access their extra deck, and in response to a spell or spell effect activation, can put itself to a pendulum scale to negate that effect. What's more, if you do this with a ritual summon Pendulum Graph Dragon, you could then also summon out any Odd Eyes monster directly from your extra deck. This effectively allows you to negate a spell and replace Pendulum Graph Dragon with another boss monster like Vortex Dragon for further disruption. But if that wasn't enough, Pendulum Graph Dragon also possesses a similar effect to Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, capable of searching for a ritual spell on the end phase to then bounce Pendulum Graph Dragon back to your hand, sending you up for its ritual summon in the following turn. As a Pendulum Graph card, Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph Dragon can be searched by old cards like Duelist Alliance and Double Iris Magician, and as a level 7 ritual monster, can be searched by the innumerable amount of ritual support available to ritual monsters in the modern age. It's fully possible to build a deck surrounding this powerful monster, and with the return of Monkey Board from the ban list, there is a very good chance that we might get to see Pendulum Best deck once more. Returning to the opening from here, we then have one Light Law Medium, one Ancient Warrior support and an Ancient Warrior's Deceptive and Betrayal, another Ancient Warrior monster, an Ancient Warrior Savage Dong Ying. This card is actually great, it searches on summon and that's something we've always needed, and another Predaplant Fusion monster in Predaplant Ambulomelides. I am 100% sure I butchered that card, but this card is very crucial for the deck. Anyway, proceeding from there, we have a Devouring Sarcophagus, a Scareclaw alternative, one Divine Dragon Taitomachia, a Therion Stand Up, one Sylvan Dancepone, new support for Sylvans, but really it comes down to just generic plant support, one Surprise Chain, one Colonel on C String, another Pendulum Scale, and a Supreme Sea Mare. Alright, so one secret so far, hopefully we get the others, but we haven't hit any of the Ultras, and the Ultras are probably where I'm going to pause again to talk more about decks. We have another Battle Guard Cadet, another Scareclaw Balone, we have a Parasoma Pillow, we have a Predaplant Triantis, new Pendulum monsters for the Predaplant deck, that's interesting. We have more support for the Libromancers in Libromancer Realized, a Symphonic Warrior Guitarist for more Symphonic Warrior support, they finally got a boss monster now, a Omega Judgment, a new TC exclusive that allows you to target monster cards in your spell and trap zone and destroy 2 cards your opponent controls, which has some really cool uses with things like pendulums or equip effects, another Predaplant Pendulum monster in Predaplant Bufolicula, and a Surprise Chain. Alright, next up, we have another Therion and Therion Duke Yule, another Scareclaw alternative, one Scareclaw Balone, one Vivid Trail, another Libromancer card in Libromancer Mystic Girl, XX Inclusion, a card that's meant to counter hand traps while forcing your opponent to discard an additional card. Fantastic, but it is a trap. One Yamatoko Orochi, another Therion and Therion Reaper Foom, and another Predaplant Ambulomedes. Alright. Next up in this, we have another Devouring Sarcophagus, a Vivid Tail, a Battle Guard Cadet, a VLAN Hydra, I've already revealed it. This is a TC exclusive card called Patis Couverture. Requiring 2 Pendulum monsters, this monster really doesn't have exactly an effect, but when destroyed, it goes into the Pendulum Scale, where it can then place any other Pendulum Scale from your deck into the field, which is pretty good if you want to play a Pendulum Search deck. one more XX inclusion, one Diamatoko Orochi, and another Reaper Fume, and another Predaplant Amblomedes. I think that last part of the pack was identical to the pack I had before. Alright, from there we have another Scareclaw Balloon, we have another Battleguard Cadet, we have an Ichiroku's Ledger Book, we have a Parasoma Pillow, and our ultra rare is the card, I believe it's called Primitive Planet Reichphobia. Alright, so this card is the central field spell for the Scareclaw deck. A deck focused on turning monsters into defense position, but also a deck that's related to a card that we got last set in Clear New World, starting a new archetype storyline, particularly beginning with the Scareclaw. And seeing as I pulled this card here, I think I'm going to pause now to talk about that Scareclaw. Fear is a powerful thing in the natural world. It forces predators into submission, bypasses the mighty, and brings power to those that are feared. And Scareclaw, the newest archetype to come out of Dimension Force, exemplifies that greatly. Each of the main deck Scareclaw monsters have effects that allow them to special summon themselves to a zone adjacent to a Scareclaw monster you control. This allows you to easily swarm the field with a vast quantity of monsters to create a variety of different link monsters. But the preferred method of offense for the Scareclaw is a terrifying monster in the Scareclaw Triheart, a Link 3 monster with 3,000 attack points. While on the field, Triheart brings the fear and forces all monsters on the field to grovel in defense position. And as if to exert dominance, Scareclaw Triheart is unaffected by the activated effects of monsters in defense. This creates a very dominating presence, only improved by the effects of your other Scareclaw main deck monsters, which grants your Scareclaw links in the extra monster zone additional bonuses. Balloon grants your Scareclaw links piercing to deal additional damage on those defense position monsters. Astro provides you additional attacks to deal multiple damage attacks onto your opponent, while Acro increases your link's attack for more damage. Finally, the centerpiece of the deck, Scareclaw Reichheart, searches for all your Scareclaw spells and traps. Speaking more on Reichheart though, Reichheart is loosely related to another monster to come out of Dimension Force, Invisis Starfrost. These two monsters will not belong to any shared archetype, are linked by a variety of the Scareclaw support, who benefit not only your Scareclaws but also Starfrost as well. This is because Starfrost is the beginning of another saga, called the Clear New World Saga, a story about the parallel worlds and the parallel U's that exist in them, perfectly exemplified by the fact that Starfrost and Reichheart have similar etymologies, stat lines, and appearances. Regardless, the Scareclaw deck plays a pretty aggressive game. With 4 extenders in the deck to its name and very little restriction to their extensions, the deck can very easily set up link boards on the draw or on the play. And with powerful spells and traps like Primitive Planet Reichphobia for searching and Scareclaw Splash for negation, the deck has the tools needed to control games in terrifying fashion. Paired with the fact that the entire archetype save for Reichheart is primarily Beast, we have some Tri-Brigade support on the side to help us get there as well. And it's equally important to note that Triheart is generic in its materials, only requiring 3 effect monsters to make, so feel free to throw him in other decks as well as a 3k Link 3 for those boss monster situations. Returning to the pack opening once more, we have then a Sunlit Sentinel, a Haunted Zombies, a Light Law Medium, and a Predaplant Amblomedes for the 3rd time to end our packs. That card seems to like me. We have another Predaplant Bislip, a Ice Jade Curse, an Amphibious Burkoth MK2, a Scareclaw Balloon, a Odd Eyes Wing Dragon, finally imported to the TCG but in a rarity that's different from the other ones for whatever reason, a Material Actor Annulus, a Sunlit Sentinel, a Haunted Zombies, and a Light Law Medium. Alright, so 1 Ultra Rare, 1 Secret Rare so far. Nothing crazy, unfortunately, but I'll take what I can get. This is just for fun and for knowledge. Predaplant Triantis, 1 Mad Mauler. This card actually acts as another substitute, like Pain Painter, for Plague Spreader Zombie. So there is some Plague Spreader Zombie support in this deck. Parasoma Pillow, a Crow Tengu, and a Weather Forecast, or the Weather Forecast. Alright, so this is a card I want to discuss because I feel like for the people who do invest in something like the Weather deck, this is their time. So the weather forecast is fundamentally like a spellbook of judgment level card for the weather deck. First off, it's a field spell, but when activated, it allows you to play any of the weather spell or trap directly from your deck. This allows you to grab any of your canvases directly out of your deck. Furthermore, for all those canvases, you can also use those canvases now as link material for your link monsters, allowing you to turn spells into basically free material to make Rainbow, one of the monsters that was kind of hard to access in your deck. Finally, in addition to all those effects, it also allows you to normal summon one more weather monster per turn, which is great when your hand is clogged by a bunch of weather monsters and no way to utilize them. This card really does a lot for the deck, and I'm really looking forward to making a deck profile for it. From there, we had another Symphonic Warrior Guitarist, Dogmatica Turgy. Alright, this is the other card I'm going to stop a little bit to talk about. So, Dogmatica, as you know, has now evolved into a Ritual archetype, and every few sets they do get Ritual support. But this one's pretty crazy. Like our last few cards, this one allows us to Ritual summon by tributing monsters on our field, particularly Dogmatica monsters, or Synchro or Fusion monsters that equal the level of a Ritual monster. The difference, it allows you to Ritual summon from the deck, allowing you to access those Ritual monsters without having to search for them. And that creates a lot of cool simplistic combos and a lot of interesting disruptions, given that it's a trap card. Something that I might want to explore, but given the fact that there is more Dogmatica supports coming up in next sets, I may hold off for a little bit. We have a Sunlit Sentinel, a Symphonic Warrior Rocks, and then our next pack. Alright, next up, we have another Prelapan Triantis, another Therion Bull Eye, a General Probe, a support spell for Guitar, or I guess the Symphonic Warriors, another MK2, and our next secret rare is Albalentis the Abyss Dragon. Now, Albalentis is one of the next fusion monsters for the Albaz monsters. This one is really interesting. Requiring Albaz and any number of dragon monsters, this monster can attack multiple times on your opponent's monsters equal to those materials, which combos fantastically with a card like Branded Fusion to dump all your Albions directly out of your deck to get a multi-attacker. More interestingly, if it's in the graveyard at the end of the turn, like all your Albaz fusions, this one can search you for something. In this case, it allows you to search or set a fusion normal spell or a polynormal spell directly from your deck. This has some synergies with other decks, but it's just a card that allows you to just continuously grab Branded Fusion. Fantastic. From there, we have the Symphonic Warrior Guitarist, another Ancient Warrior's Deception and Betrayal, a Therion Reaper Fume, a Haunted Zombies. Alright, with both the secret rares out of the way, we only have the ultras left. Let's see what we can get. We have another Predaplan Triantis, another Mad Mauler, a General Probe, a Predaplan Bisplip, and a Scareclaw Rival for another Scareclaw support, one Savage Warrior Dong Ying, one Ancient Warrior's Deception and Betrayal, one Yamatoko Orochi, a Pendulum Scale. You've already seen those already. So let's speed things up as a result, since we're just now getting boring. We have one Devouring Sarcophagus, one Vivid Trail, one Battleguard Cadet, one VLAN Hydra, a Super in Yakuza Lord of the Eight Thunders. I think this is a TC exclusive. I do not know what it does, but it actually has some, I believe it has multiple effects. One Ancient Warrior's Deception and Betrayal, another Dong Ying, these cards are paired together, and another Amblumides, and another Heroic Challenger Morningstar. Alright, two more ultra rares left. Maybe there's a Starlight, we'll never know, but I'm hoping on it. We have another Devouring Sarcophagus, one Vivid Tail, one Mad Mauler, one General Pope, and one Therion Charge. It's a draw card for the Therion deck. If we pull another one, I will pause to talk about the Therion. One Colonel in C-String, one XX Conclusion, one Yamatoko Orochi, and one Symphonic Warrior Rocks. Alright, next up, we have another Primitive Predaplan Bisplip, one Ice Jade Curse, another Bergoth MK2, another Scareclaw Balone, and Heroic Challenger Claim Soleil-ish. I believe this is supposed to be Claim Soleil, that's the weapons it's based off of. Useful link monster, it increases the attack of one of your monsters to some astronomical levels for OTKs, which pretty much falls in line with how the Heroic Champions want to play. A Therion Reaper, another Predaplan Buffalicula, this is just a frog actually, one Brandon Lost, and another Agul Mazera. Alright, next pack. We have another Therion Bull Ein, a backup team, a Symphonic Warrior Digits, a Hero Champion Gang Gripnir, another Yakuza Lord of the Eight Thunders, another Therion Reaper Fume, a Symphonic Warrior Rocks, a Colonel on C-String, and a Material Actor Annulus. Alright, moving on once more. Let's get that Ultra Rare. 1 Crow Tengu, 1 Ice Jade Curse, a Hero Challenger Knuckle Sword, a Hero Challenger and Gripnir, and our Ultra is a new Punk monster, and I don't think the camera captures, a Punk monster in Punk Deer Note, or no Punk Deer Note? It is another card supporting the general Punk strategy. It allows you to either discard it or another Punk monster to special summon one or the other. Well, if this card goes to graveyard, it does revive one of your Punks. It has a lot of cool combos, but a lot of times I do believe it just ends on Calamity to lock your opponent out of the game, because that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is these days. Anyway, fantastic card. We have another Guitarist, another Dogmatic Liturgy, 1 Sunlit Sentinel, a Warrior Rocks, and our next pack. Alright, 1 Ultra left before everything is just over. We have another Crow Tengu, a Therion Stand-Up, a Divine Dragon Taitomakia, a Scareclaw, a Lebomancer Prevented, a Supreme Sea Mare, a Material Actor Nullus, a Sunlit Sentinel, and a Haunted Zombie. Alright, I believe there's about 5 packs left. Hopefully we'll see something soon. Another Therion on Therion Duke Yule, a Therion Stand Up, a Hero Challenger Yarn Gripnir, a Divine Dragon Taitomakia, a Chaosai the Ghost Stopper. I believe this is along the same series of cards as Jowgen and Kaiku as anti-cards. 1 Hero Challenger Morning Star, 1 Dogmatic Liturgy, 1 Agul Mazera, and 1 Branded Lost. Alright. 3 packs left, or 4 packs left. Symphonic Warrior DJJ, 1 VLAN Hydra, 1 Reverse Jar, 1 Ichiroku's Ledger Book, 1 more Hero Challenger Claim Soloish, 1 Scareclaw Acro, 1 Pendulum Scale, 1 Colonel on C-String, and 1 Omega Judgment. Alright, what else do we have here? 3 packs left. 1 more Amphibious Burkoff MK2, 1 more VLAN Hydra, 1 Reverse Jar, 1 Ichiroku's Ledger Book, and another Ultra in Scareclaw Right Chart. Cool card. More support for the Scareclaws that I would love to pull. Scareclaw Astra, Omega Judgment, a Light Law Medium, and another Musical Sumo Dice. Alright, with that, I believe that is our last Ultra, so these last 3 packs should probably have nothing, but let's just go through them really fast. We have a Plan Triantis, another Mad Mauler, a Parasoma Pillow, and Crow Tengu, and a 5th Ultra Rare in Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Lord. Alright, let's talk about this card. This is more support for that zombie support structure deck that came out a while back, but this is the evolution of Red Eyes Zombie Dragon Part 2. This card is able to revive zombies from your opponent's graveyard, which works with Zombie World, but also can ban zombies in your graveyard to revive itself. Fantastic level 8, it's generic, only requires a zombie tuner, so a card that you can play in a number of decks. Dogmatic Liturgy, 1 Agul Mazera, 1 Branded Lost, and 1 Scareclaw Acro. Alright, 2 packs left. Now there should definitely be nothing, but I'll probably be surprised either way. General Probe, 1 Reverse Jar, 1 Symphonic Warrior DJJ, 1 Backup Team, Immortal Dragon, which is basically just zombified Coral Dragon, a Scareclaw Acro, a Pendulum Scale, a Scareclaw Astra, and a Musical Sumo Dice. And for our last pack. Our last pack here contains another Therion Bull Aim, a Warrock Medium, a Heroic Challenger Knuckle Sword, a Backup Team, a Heroic Envoy as a searcher for the heroic monsters, another Agul Mazera, a Symphonic Warrior Rocks, and a Predaplant Buflicula, and a Material Necklace or Annulus to end us this box opening. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't at least talk a bit more about the Therions. Presented as the next part of the Albaz saga, the Therions are currently a bit of an enigma. Stylized after gladiators in a coliseum, all the Therions are high-level monsters with the ability to target another Therion or a share-type monster in the graveyard, special summon themselves, and then equip that targeted monster to it. Now, the latter part of their targeting requirements means that each of the Therions can be played in their respective tribal decks, but the true power of the archetype appears only when they're played with each other. Each of the Therions also have effects that interact with other Therions in your hand or while equipped. Bull-Ein is a scrap dragon capable of blowing up a Therion card and another card on the field. Reaper Fume allows you to bounce a Therion in your spell and trap zone to bounce a monster on the field as a quick effect. Dukeville protects itself from being destroyed by card effects while equipped, while Lily Boya sends a card from the hand or field to the graveyard to search for Therion spells and traps. Finally, Therion King Regulus can send a Therion from the hand or field to negate the activation of card effects. Each of these effects are very functionally, only improved by the fact that they also grant these effects to a Therion that has equipped them to create a number of different Therion Voltron configurations. Supporting them further is a slew of powerful spell and trap support cards. This Coliseum allows you to search for Therions on activation and also sends Therions from the deck to the grave to protect your on-field Therions from destruction, not only giving you more field presence but graveyard setup as well. Therion Charge allows you to send a Therion from your hand to draw 2 cards, not only getting a Therion into the grave for your other Therions to equip, but also refunding you in the endeavor. Finally, Endless Engine Ingrio system dumps Therions from the deck to the graveyard and recycles itself and a Therion in later turns, allowing the deck to do fantastic grind games. Fundamentally, this deck has the pieces necessary to contend with the current meta powerhouses of Branded and Sword Soul, and with engines like Brave still present, it's very likely that you'll see the Therion very soon at the top tables in the next few months. And that's going to wrap it up for this Dimension Force box opening. I gotta say, I'm really excited for what this set might bring to the game. Not only does this set have a good amount of meta options in the Therions and the Albaz and Brave support, but it also adds a lot of legacy support for past decks like Predaplants, Ancient Warriors, and the Weather. And I can't wait to experiment on all those decks and profile them for you guys here on this channel. So look out for that. Regardless, this has been Tony with a Dimension Force box opening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.